Good morning. We are reading Jake Drake Know It All. I'm Mr. Fisher. I don't know if anybody have said this before, but Miss Jessica and I are married. I'm her husband, Chris. So hopefully you understand that. So we are on chapter 7. If you remember right, Jake was still thinking about his project and he was doing a list and seeing what things he could use on his project. Hope you had a good time doing your assignment and you picked some cool stuff out of the junk drawer. But we're drinking chapter 7, Secrets and Spies. Okay, are we ready to go? Yes. I learned a lot during that week before Christmas vacation. I learned about the science fair and the grand prize. I learned that Mr. Lenny Cordo did not work for a circus. I learned that I wanted to win that Bluntium 12 computer. I learned that some days my dad can be a KIADIA. I learned about the scientific method, and I learned that just because you're in the third grade, it doesn't mean you can't read some long words. Absolutely. Like electromagnets. Magnets. That's the fancy name for the kind of magnet you make with a wire and iron and electricity. That's something else I learned because the rest of the week before Christmas I read all I could about magnets. Oh, and another thing I learned is that a know-it-all can't really be a know-it-all. Nobody can know everything. That's too much. If you did not know everything, your head would explode or something. Boom! I don't think so. You can't. Head can't explode. But I guess nobody ever told that to Kevin and Marcia. They really wanted to know everything all the time. But there was something they didn't know, and they knew they didn't know it. They didn't know that what my science fair project was. At first, Kevin tried to pretend he didn't care. The day before vacation, we had to turn in our permission slips. Miss Snavin told us to bring them to her desk. I stood up, and Kevin got in line behind me. I could tell he did not. He did it on purpose. Kevin tapped me on the shoulder. When I turned around, he gave me this fake smile and said, "So, Jake, what are you doing your project on?" I said, "I don't know. I won't. I want to tell. I don't want. I don't. I'm sorry. So, Jake, what are you doing your project on?" I said, "I don't think I want to tell anybody." He said, "Why not? It doesn't matter if people know. I'm doing mine on ants." Kevin stared at me with his pale blue eyes. He didn't blink. He was waiting for me to tell, especially since he had just told me what his project was. But I just smiled and nodded. Ants, yeah, ants are cool. And then I turned away because I had to hand my slip to Miss Snavin. Kevin followed me back to my table. "So what's your project on, Jake?" I said, I'm still kind of thinking about it." Kevin said, "So what is it? What are you thinking about?" I said, "I'll show you at the science fair." Kevin pressed his lips together and made a mad face. Then he walked back to his own table. "You see, I'm a good secret keeper. 2 years ago, Abby broke a little china statue my mom had on the shelf. Mom loved it because she said it looked like Abby. That's why Abby loved it too." One day, Abby pushed a chair over to the shelf and took it down. When she started playing with it, the head broke off. Abby brought it to me. She was crying. She was afraid she would get in big trouble. I used some white glue to put the head back on. I was very careful. You couldn't even tell it was broken. I put it back on the shelf and I promised I would keep it a secret. And I did. Wait a second. I just told you. I guess I didn't keep it a secret. Of course, about a week later, Abby told Mom about the statue herself, and Mom wasn't even mad. Even so, I kept the secret, except for telling you guys. And then there was this time a friend of mine was at the YMCA camp with me. In the middle of the night, he woke up. He whispered, "Jake, I wet the bed. What should I do?" That's the kind of thing a kid can get a bad nickname for. So I helped him get the sheets off his bunk. It was a plastic mattress, so that was good. I got my extra sheet out of my trunk and put it on the mattress. Then we stuck the wet sheets under the bed and went back to sleep. No one ever found out, and I never told. I didn't, and don't even try to guess which friend it was because I'm not telling ever. It's a secret. So I decided my science fair project was going to be a secret too. Why tell anybody, especially Kevin Young and Marcia? She never asked. She just snooped, and she was lousy at it. It was like I had radar. I could always tell when Marcia was trying to spy on me. So I let her see my work. Let her see me. So I let her see me work, and I let Kevin see me too. It was during our library period on the last day before vacation. I let Marcia see me check out a book on snakes. Then I let Kevin see me look at stuff about sharks in the encyclopedia. Then I used Encarta to look up an article about weasels, and I left it on the computer screen a long time. I even took some notes, and Marcia saw me. Then 10 minutes later, when Kevin was waiting at the printer, I printed out this article about rodents and a big picture of a rat. And when I went to get it, Kevin handed it to me with a smile, and then I smiled back. Near the end of the library time, I saw Kevin. There's Kevin and Marcia snooping, and Marcia whispering together. They looked like they were arguing. Kevin probably thought my project was about rats and sharks, and Marcia probably thought it was about snakes and weasels. They didn't get my joke. What I did was study them, and I discovered that Kevin reminded me of a cross between a shark and a rat, and Marcia was like a snake and a weasel. What they didn't know was that in the bottom of my backpack, down in a safe, dark place, I had three great books all about magnets, magnets you can make, and winning science fair projects. And those three books were enough to help me win my new computer because the best thing I learned that week before vacation was to be a good know it all. You don't have to know what anybody else is doing. You don't need to know everything. You just have to know enough. Plus, it helps if you have a big drawer full of junk. And that was chapter 7. We will go to chapter 8. Oops. Next time. Goodbye.